Hi, CASK community. Welcome back to The Roar, your one-stop shop for research-related information and other happenings in the CASK community. I'm Hitomi with Project CASK, and I think it's still okay to wish everybody a Happy New Year, a little bit late, but still completely heartfelt. Um, I hope that this year has started well for everyone, and for those who have had a rough start to the year, I really hope that that is a harbinger for smoother days ahead. We're excited to kickstart the year. You know, we've had a lot of discussions recently, of course, in the Project CASK leadership team about reflecting on last year, thinking about this year. You know, what are our priorities, and one of the things that we're having kind of a lot of discussion around is really going back to and revisiting our why. Right? Why are we here? What is our role? What is our responsibility and commitment as a patient advocacy organization for the CASK community? And how can we make sure that we are contributing in a meaningful way to the collective efforts to develop treatments and a cure for CASK gene disorders? And so I thought it was kind of a nice way to actually start the year to kind of share a little bit about what we were talking about and where we came to in that discussion. And then, of course, I will share some updates of things that are really in the near future. So we can, for your information, for you to get engaged. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, for you to reach out to us. So we were thinking about, of course, our mission, right? Our mission is clear. We really want to work with urgency to develop treatments for our kids, whether they be treatments for symptoms or more curative strategies. But how do we do this? There's myriad ways we could do it. How do we do it? What are the values and the principles and the approach that we take to this? And we kind of, I think if I try to categorize it, I would say there's sort of 5 key values / principles / strategies. It's kind of a mix of those that we prioritize in our work at Project CASK, and I think that a lot of patient or advocacy organizations do. So, what are those? Right? First, putting our children first. This seems really obvious, but the reality is that research in general is not necessarily patient focused, and then a lot of clinical research really isn't designed for small populations like the CASK community or so many of the rare and ultra rare disease communities. And so we need to be quite insistent as an organization when we're engaging with different actors, whether they be researchers or clinicians or industry partners, that we are making sure that we're measuring things that matter to our children and the specific symptoms and experiences that they have with their CASK gene disorder. And in that, your voice matters most. And this is one of the reasons that we join platforms like Citizen and Citizen Health, and we have the biorepository with combined brain and rare X, and I'll get back to those in a moment at the end. The reason that we do these is because they help us understand what's really happening with our kids across the spectrum. We know there's great diversity, what matters most to parents and caregivers in terms of the type of strategies and treatments that we might look into. And so it's really it's about making sure that anything that's undertaken, that our children are at the heart of it. The second thing is really about, and this is something I know that we take really seriously at Project CASK, and it's something that makes our work sometimes hard, but it's to be as rigorous as possible in our scientific assessment. And what do I mean by that? The drug development process for rare disease, especially for genetic medicines today, it's changing at a pace that's incredible. And that's wonderful in the sense that it is opening doors and opportunities for treatments for our children that weren't open a year ago, 2 years ago, definitely not 5 years ago, etc. But it also makes it hard because we don't have decades of proof of concept. We don't have a million examples that we can wade through to say, okay, this worked, this worked, this worked, this worked. And so we have to do a process of vetting that is extremely extensive. And the reality is no one else is going to do it the way we're going to do it as the parents and caregivers and the people most closely, just touched by this disorder. So that means, we can be told a strategy is a great idea by a scientist, but we can't just take that one piece of advice. Here, I'll give a concrete example. In December 2022, I reached out to somebody who does gene replacement therapy who's super well known for it. And he said to me at that time, it's just CASK gene is too large. It's really not a strategy that's going to work. Fast forward just a few months to April 2023, and I had this opportunity to attend a parent workshop, and I met with the head of gene therapy for a really large biotech in the rare disease space. And he didn't really know much about CASK when we talked, but he generously went and did a little research, looked into it some more, and he came back to me and he said, you know what, he told me, actually, I would not close the door on this strategy. I don't think CASK is too big, and here's why. And although I was thrilled to hear that, we didn't stop there. So that was April 2023. We talked to probably easily a dozen more people who do gene replacement therapy to see what they thought. Did they also think it was possible? What did they think would be the major obstacles in our process, etc.? And then we spoke with a dozen plus, more than that, 24 other scientists who do other type of genetic medicine strategies, to also hear not only about what they do and what their priorities are, but what they think about gene replacement therapy as an option. And you get really conflicting information. That's the reality. It's very conflicting. And so then we also talk with patient advocacy groups who have tried these strategies or who are already in clinical trial or who are close to clinical trial to understand their experiences. And then we take all of that and have discussions with our scientific advisory board and other, advisors. And it's just this process of vetting and double checking and triple checking and quadruple checking. And that is time consuming. That's why it took, more time than we wish it did to kickstart the gene replacement therapy that we are funding. But all of that to say is that we take that role really seriously because especially nobody else is going to do it the way we're going to do it. Other people have much more scientific knowledge than us, and of course that's why we lean on them, but they're not going to look at the breadth of strategies. They're not going to take the time to kind of double check, triple check, quadruple check, because, they have other jobs to do. So that's something that we have to really, we have to lean into as an organization. The other thing is just being the catalyst. Like big pharma are rarely going to invest in early stage rare disease research. It's just not going to happen right now. And so that is our role, right? To make sure that we're kind of sparking this ecosystem of research, but that we're also raising the funds to kickstart and push forward strategies that we think could work for our kids. And as I said, a broad range of treatment options. We need to have multiple shots on goal. I don't know if you remember, but when we did our kickoff video when we launched Project CASK in August 2023, and that was one of our main things that we said, that why we're here is that we need to have multiple shots on goal. We need to have multiple strategies in the pipeline, and that could even mean multiple strategies of the same type of approach. So we could have multiple gene replacement strategies in the pipeline, multiple small molecule, etc., because you just don't know what can happen. Science is unpredictable. The financing of this is unpredictable, and so multiple shots on goal, but really to be that catalyst. That's also our role, and to make sure that we are undertaking all of the different elements. So it's not just about getting the therapeutic development going, right? It's about things like natural history studies. You've heard that term, or you could also think of it as a disease progression study. This is why those platforms like Citizen RareX are really important. Having the biobanks and biological samples with combined brain biorepository, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we need to make sure that we have all those pieces going so that the day that the clinical trial, is knocking on our door, that we're ready for it, we have all those pieces in place. And I don't want to be remiss talking about all the sort of scientific things that of like our role in terms of building and honoring community. And I think in this area, something that we and that we ask you to hold us to, but we try to really be cognizant of, is transparency and in information and education, sharing what we're funding, how much we've raised, why we're funding it, how we made the decision that we made. As I said, these things are complex and require lots of steps, but we are, if you ever have a question about any of that, you absolutely can reach out to us. I mean, we're all parents in the same community, so you can reach out to us in all the ways you know how to reach out to us, but you can also email us at hello@projectcask.org and ask us anything you want. We would be happy to talk about it and share more information about our thinking behind any of the decisions that we've made. We also will have our 2024 annual impact report coming out soon, so that will have a lot of that information too. But, we don't want to bore people with too many details. So if you ever want to dig in or just have a conversation, please don't hesitate to reach out. And then, of course, we have a role of raising awareness and driving change among external stakeholders. So that could be, raising awareness among industry partners, among researchers, participating in collective efforts of the rare disease community, like Rare Disease Day, of course, but also things that are pushing policy change with regulatory agencies, anywhere in the world. So that's also a role that we need to play, and that we encourage, parents also to get involved in. And there's lots of ways for us individually to get involved in these activities as well. So that's that. Sorry, I know that was, I can see right now it was much longer than I wanted it to be. But there you go. Okay, couple updates. Rare Disease Day is around the corner in February. We have the t-shirt that we've shared on our socials. If you want to have your child's name on the back of the shirt on our Liacorn roster, please make sure to register with Project CASK, and we'll make sure that gets on there. And then we'll share the link when the t-shirts are ready for purchase. The deadline is technically passed, but we have a little bit of wiggle room here, so definitely reach out soon, like today, maybe tomorrow. Epilepsy study is enrolling. We will share some more information in the coming weeks, but please, if you have any question about that, you can reach out to anybody on the Project CASK leadership team, but definitely Allie Dowell is point person on that, so please reach out to her specifically if you want to talk through anything. And there's information on our website, and the information on our website will lead you directly to the team at New York Presbyterian that's leading that. So they do all of the enrollment and everything. So you can also directly just reach out to them. You don't have to come to us, but you can come to us if you have any. And for those who are enrolled but are having problems with getting records, things like that, you're also welcome to touch base with us. We can share some tips. I mean, it's a hard process. That's reality. It's a long process, but maybe we have some insights that can help. If you have not registered with RareX, please do that. If you have, go ahead and update for your annual surveys. It's really important that we have data collected over time. That is not just a one-time, but we have sort of systematically data being collected on an ongoing basis. So even if anything hasn't changed, that's really valuable information too. So go ahead and update your surveys. If you haven't enrolled with Citizen Health, that little enrollment campaign that we had going in November is over, but enrollment is still open, and we really need as many CASK families in that as well. It's open globally, but the record process is really right now still in the U.S., so we will keep people posted on if that changes. I mean, that's the record collection process. happy to talk about that more. We'll also put out some more information in the coming weeks on that, so you can just stay tuned. And of course, please register with Project CASK so we know who you are, we can connect with you, and make sure that you're getting information in the various ways that we share it. So wishing everybody a wonderful day, and we will be back soon with more information. Until then, keep kicking CASK.